everyone, it's Annette Green here. Welcome, welcome. It's week 22 in 2024. Every week I do a crafty video or a craft related video, and I have this idea in my head to make a mobile, but not for a child or a baby, but for my craft room. I've had this idea for a long time, and the theme in here is very romantic, pinks and deep greens and bees and flowers, you know, so it's very pretty girly. And because I love bees so much, bees have definitely got to make their way into my mobile. So I'm going to use some dies today from Elizabeth Craft Designs. My layered honeybee from last spring, still a favorite. Also from last spring, the playful flowers. I think I'm going to have to work in some flowers. And then from this spring release is the layered butterflies. And actually this is the layered butterfly 2134, not to be confused with layered butterflies from Angelica Turner, who was also with Elizabeth Craft Designs, just so you get the right product. But of course I'll link everything below. And then I have my little hoop here. This is just an embroidery or cross stitch hoop from Walmart, and I don't need the outer ring, but I'm going to use this one as my base to hang everything off of. Also, because I'm going to be using the smaller butterfly here and some small bees here, I'll have to use my Love and Roses stamp set because we have coordinating stamps of that butterfly and those two size bees here. Two bees and that butterfly. I don't know if I'll use the sideways butterfly or not. We'll see, but that's the stamp set that I'll be using there. Okay, and so I'm thinking that this will be a very nice ribbon for at the end to wrap around my embroidery hoop. It's the exact same size I need it to be, and I'll probably use hot glue, and this will be great to cover up all the little strings that will be dangling down. And speaking of string, I'm going to use this jute. It's from May Arts. I don't know the color name, but it's SM15. If I have a moment to look that up, I will. But it's a nice piney green, which is the green that's my accent color here in the studio. So I think that's going to be pretty, and I'm choosing green on purpose because I envision my butterflies and my bees to be, you know, hanging at the ends of these and maybe in the middle here and there, but mostly there's going to be a lot of leaves perhaps and greenery as the filler. So I think that'll be great to have green as my strings. I guess I should mention this is also from May Arts. Looks like the number is 523-1-15. So it is a poly, half acrylic, nice kind of twill ribbon. Very nice. Okay, now I have the big job of cutting out a whole bunch of these things from cardstock or white and coloring them in. I'm not sure yet. I have to think about it. But I know that it's going to be a little tedious, but I want it to be beautiful and last for a long time. So it might be worth the extra work to color these in how I like. So let me get to cutting and I'll be back. Okay, and away we go. All my die cuts are cut from Elizabeth Craft Designs soft finish white cardstock, and I'm using a fingertip dauber and some inks. My current favorites right now are the VersaFine Clair inks. There's a new set of colors out, which I will show you all the colors I'm using in a little while. But I'm just kind of blending these colors together, working on the different layers, and having a good time. And you saw there that I was coloring softly with pink around the outside edges. I came in with a little darker color, and now I'm darkening the center of my butterfly with an even darker color. And I keep checking it on the layer just to make sure I like what I'm doing. This layered butterfly has different parts and pieces for the body, so I really like this particular option that has a hole in the center and then a heart that pops back in there. To finish off my pretty butterfly, I'm putting on that body piece, and then I will add back in that little heart. And then of course you always want to make two of each style so that you can straddle the twine when you hang it on your mobile. And for this second style of butterfly, I'll just combine some different colors, this time more of an avocado bright yellowy green, and layer the top one with some more darker greens and different shades to coordinate. After I've got the body assembled, in this case I wanted to darken around the edges, so I just used a little more of that darker green color, and now I have 2 of those. I'm going to make 2 more butterflies off screen, but I am going to show you very quickly how I did a few of the bees. This is that layered honeybee dye. And as you can see, I'm coloring in the antenna, the legs, and a little bit around his head with a nice dark green color. Now I'm going to put this splotch here, but I really don't need to put it there because we're about to cover it up. This is the plate that will cover it up. This is the next part of the body, which I'm softly inking with pink around the edges, and then I'll hit that center with some green. And you'll see in a moment why we do that. Now I'm going to use this skinny little brush, kind of rub it into my ink, and this just sort of softly paints on those stripes in the bee's body. So I've got those pieces done, and now I just need to do a little bit more inking. I'm going to use a heavier pink color here on the big base part of the bee, under the big part of the wings, and then these little smaller background pieces in the same color. Those will be the smaller part of the wings, as you'll see as we layer it up here in just a second. I love this die. It's one of my favorites, and you'll see when it's all complete exactly why it's one of my favorites. So this is the smaller part of the wings that I'm putting together. You can see why we inked underneath. We have those little show-through areas. Same with the bigger part of the wings. So we just simply pop those onto our base piece, and you can see how that darker pink color shows through those openings. And then the little wing gets layered on top of that one, and it just lines right up with the one before it, making it super easy. And although there are eyes in the little die cut set for this bee, I find sometimes it's just as easy to take a black pen and draw in my own eyes. And there's 2 more styles of different colors of bees there, and there's a 3rd one. Okay, let's make some playful flowers. I'm going to make quite a few of these, and you can see that I've started with a very bright sunny yellow, and I'm working out with some pinks, a couple different shades as I blend my way out. And the larger piece you see above this one that I'm coloring right now, that one will remain white because this flower we're coloring in here has a lot of openings, and we want to see that white showing through. Okay, now we're just going to color in some butterflies that have been stamped and die cut. This is again one of those coordinating stamps and die sets, and the bees are as well. So I'm just adding a little bit of a lilac color, a little bit of a bright yellow, and with the bees I'm just going to softly brush on some pink. Okay, I think I have almost all of the coloring done. I think I'm going to wait until the very end to fill in with leaves if I see that that is necessary. But the one more thing that I did do was I colored these playful flowers, just green. I layered 2 up, and then rather than doing both of the back sides right now, I left that one blank because uncolored I should say, so that I can put the string through here and then layer that last one over the top like that. So that's why these are separate and kind of laying there, but I did quite a few of these just as filler. As I was going along, what were these little brushes that I was using to color in those small little places? These are awesome. I got these on Amazon. You may check your local scrapbook store first to see if they have something like this. They're mini blending brushes for card making. I will link them to my Amazon affiliate shop if you'd like to check them out. This is a 12-pack, and there's some different sizes in here. They're pretty nice, I have to say. And the black marker that I used was a Jelly Roll black pen for the eyes of the bees. And then all those inks that I've been using, these are new to me. These are VersaFine Clair new colors. So I used a lot of the new colors I've just acquired, and there they all are. If I see them on Amazon, I'll link them, but check your local scrapbook store, of course. And then a couple of colors that I already had that I used were these here. So they just came out with some really nice kind of spring colors, a little more soft palette. Here's a few more, some I had already. Some are new. Bali Blue Arctic is new. Take a look at everything I've got. Now, when you do something like this one, this is another one of my playful flowers, in order for them to line up, and I had to do that on this as well, because they're not like a perfectly symmetrical flower that if you ink another one to put on the back, it's going to line up. It won't line up. So you may not notice, but if I show you up close, you might. This is actually the underside of the die cut, and this is the front side. So when I put them together, there will be a prettier side, but when it's hanging up, you're not going to see that difference, but they do line up because of the way I did that. So that's just something to remember. I did the bee, I did on the front sides only because it's pretty much symmetrical. I mean, it's not 100% perfect, but again, once it's hanging up there, I don't think anybody's going to scrutinize that there's a hairline of white that's not perfectly symmetrical. So on the bee, I was okay, and definitely on the butterfly. So these two match up perfectly and beautifully when you do them on the right sides, both sides. All right, so we've got bees, 3 bees. 4 of those flowers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those. We will only have 2 of these butterflies. These are also symmetric. These are the stamp and die combination, so that's super nice. Let me back out a little so you can see what I'm actually showing you. Okay, 2 of those. These little bees are symmetrical, so lovely. Those are also stamped and dyed. I have 2 of the bigger ones. And I don't know if I'm going to need any little ones, so I just did 1 for now. I can always add more for filler later. So there's that one. Let's still get you in here. Okay. Let's see, I did 3 of these actually. 3 of the bigger bees. 1, 2, 3, and the little guy. And then 3 big butterflies. 4 actually, because I did the two different styles. So we've got that one, this one here. Can you see it? This one here, this one here, this one here, and this one. So I'm obviously not gluing them together yet till I get the strings on there. And the best way I know to do this is to get the mobile part itself all figured out with all the strings attached to it, and then just start hanging these on there. Hot glue gun plugged in over here, got some scissors ready, and I was just starting to get this on here, this twine. However, I realized I probably should ink the bottom that we will see. So I'm using that VersaFine Clair. This is the Shady Lane color. I'm waiting for that to really dry to handle that. And also you could paint that if you wanted to instead of using inks. I like how the ink makes it look like it's stained rather than a solid paint color. I did go through my stash of beads. I'm not a big, jewelry person, but I do have some beads here because I'm thinking we definitely will need the weight at the bottoms of all the strings. So I do have these really pretty pearly pale pink, pretty heavy, good sized beads here. I might stick with most of those. This looks nice and neat. What I'm doing here is, knowing this is my starting point at the top here, I'm just taking my ruler. This is roughly an 8-inch hoop. I believe that the outer ring makes it 8 inches, so I'm just kind of fudging it, So I laid it straight across, and I made a mark down there, and then I split the difference, and I made a mark here and here. And now I just need to make marks in between those two. So I'm just rotating out and finding the center of those. It's done, and I have my little pencil mark. I'm going to put just a little line of glue, just really thin, because I don't want it to be too bumpy. Put a little bit on the top too for my first spot. Okay, so I've glued just this tip here, and what I'm going to do, instead of wrapping around, I want all these strings to be at the top. So I'm going to start again, and I also want them all to intersect in the center, because if you start to wrap around, that doesn't work. As I discovered trying this out before turning on the camera, so you can see I have had to remove what I tried to do earlier. And you could always start this first one by tying it like I did my first one. Doesn't matter at all. I just like to thin down that bulb of hot glue right there. So I'll continue on around now and trim off those excess pieces. To hang it from the ceiling, I have 4 strands of that same twine. I cut them each 1 yard, so 36 inches each, just to have plenty to work with. And I'm going to tie these on at 4 opposing spots on my circle. And I am using it says high temp, but it's not very hot when I touch it right away. But it is a AdTech dripless high temp mini glue gun. Pretty handy. Like, I feel a little bit of heat through there, but it's not like those glue guns where you burn yourself immediately when you press down on something you've just glued. Okay, and then the best way to do this, I think, is to gather all 4 while this is flat on the table and join them together with a knot, and then you have a lot of excess here. And then you can hang it up on anything, not necessarily on your ceiling, to work from here. Okay, so you can see I've got mine hanging from an extra tripod thing right there, and there's the corner of my craft room. So it's right over my table. I can hang all my strings and, you know, get an idea of how everything's looking. It's a little more handy than having it up on the ceiling trying to work like this. So if you have some shelf or something you can attach to, that would be great. Okay, let's get a better view over here. So as you can see, I have tied some toward the outside of those spoke pieces and some are more in. So we have this kind of look. I know it's hard to see with all that stuff in the background on my table, but you have them kind of coming from all around in there. So I think that's going to work out nicely, and now I can start gluing these things on. So I used a string of hot glue, just a little line of it there for the back side of that bee, and then I will use regular glue on this matching bee on all the back of it to adhere these two together. Let's go. Got a bunch of glue on the back of there. Gonna grab this. You might want to have some clips ready to really hold this. Okay, and I have found that it is quite helpful to have some clips, little tiny clips like this ready, because you do have that bead of hot glue underneath there, and it sort of fights that being a little bit bumpy, so especially down at the bottom there. So I find that that's helpful to leave those on there for a second, and it's coming together kind of cute here. I'm getting excited. Gluing these guys down, here's a little helpful tip for you. Find out where they line up first. And let's see, there we go. So find out where they line up first when you have both of those proper sides, and then make a little pencil mark. See the little pencil marks in there where they join together? Just to help you keep it straight, because when you're working with the glue, you know, you want to move fast and you don't want to fiddle around trying to find that proper fit. Okay, it's looking really good. I'm starting to put some beads on, and I just have a couple of quick tips to share with you. If you're using twine like I am, it does tend to want to fray, especially when you're trying to slide a bead onto it. So you can use some fray check, or just put a little bit of glue on your finger and twirl it on the tip, let that dry, and then it's a little stiffer to go through the bead. Also with your beads, if you use these inexpensive plastic ones like I do, you may want to take a piercing tool and just kind of ream out that hole a little bit so that there's nothing impeding your twine from going through the hole. I had to hunt down a piece of some kind of cardboard here and show you how it's looking. I'm pretty happy with it. I have the beads all on the bottom. I feel like it's still a little bit plain and it needs a little more filler. I don't want to junk it up, but I did go to my stash of teeny tiny little flower packs, and I see all those little leaves, and I'm not using these flowers for anything. So I think I'm going to add the leaves here and there and everywhere. So I'm going to need a minute. I'm going to use hot glue, and I'll come back and I'll show you how it looks. Okay, I am pretty sure I'm done. I added all the leaves, as you can see. Can you see? Hold on. I think it looks better with all those little leaves. If you didn't have leaves like I had a lot of extra ones. You could always die cut and color both sides of a paper shaped leaf for sure using a die. This was just a little quicker for me, and you can see at the top around the ring there I also added at those joints a flower and some more leaves. So I'm pretty happy with that. I do see a lot of glue strings, so the answer to that is to take your heat tool, get it nice and hot. You can use the traditional heat tool for embossing. Doesn't matter as long as it has some heat. And just kind of wave it around. And all those little hot glue strings just disappear. Okay, it is done. I am very happy. I can't wait to hang it up in my craft studio. Super excited with how this turned out. Takes a little bit of time, but sometimes those are the best projects, the ones that we put our heart and time and effort into. So I hope you like it. I hope you give it a try, and I will see you next week in the next crafty video.